What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Unlockables podcast, the story of video games, the people who play them, and the memories made along the way. As always, I am your host, Eric. I'd like to thank you for joining me, tuning in, wherever, whenever in time and space you might be located to check out the show, see how we're doing, and just engage in some good old video game podcast content. It really does mean the world to me. Quick thing before we get started, if you want to interact more with the show, follow it, do all that good stuff, just go on over to linktr.ee/Unlockables podcast. All the good stuff is there, all the good podcatchers, where you can find me on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, all that fun stuff where I interact with people who listen to the show and other podcasters, and as well as join our Discord community. And by our, I mean mine, because I'm a solo podcaster, because words. The Discord community that I started in a rushed hurriness because I thought that the collapse of Twitter was imminent. And now it seems like Twitter is sinking more slowly to the bottom of the ocean, or maybe we've stabilized it halfway in the air. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to continue to tweet until the whole thing explodes in a great ball of fire or sinks or whatever happens to it. I don't know. We'll have to see. That'll be a continuing saga going into the year 2023 for sure. One other slight thing too, please excuse the subpar condition of my voice, my sinuses, my nasal passages. I have been dealing with the triple pandemic trifecta, whatever they've been calling it in the news, of flu, RSV, and the COVID going around, the triple demic, or whatever their fancy new jargon they've come to call it now. So yeah, that's been great just before the holidays. So I've been feeling absolutely wonderful, not at all. And I've been on a mix of just over-the-counter drugs, kind of a, throw them all in a blender and drink it till you feel better type of thing, which was not far off from the actual advice the urgent care doctor gave me. And she was just like, yeah, buy a bunch of stuff over-counter, throw it in this blender and drink it, and, once you feel better, you'll feel better. So yeah, awesome. Stuffed up, coughing still slightly, and addled on all of the over-counter medications. Feels great, man. I hope everybody had an absolutely fantastic holiday, Christmas, whatever you celebrate with your friends and family. For me, like I said, was sick, but got to spend a little bit of time with family. Past a certain amount of days, you're not contagious anymore. So I was able to spend a little bit of time with my family and go see my brand new niece, who was just born into this world about 10, 12 days ago. Beautiful, brand new baby girl in the family. Very excited. First time uncle. Super nervous. That's a lot of responsibility, a lot of corrupting that has to happen in this child's future. I feel it is my responsibility to introduce her to the way of video games. So that will be happening as she grows up. Very excited for that. Now, the purpose of this episode, by the title, as you can probably see, not really going to talk about any specific video games or video game related stuff today. I want to do more of a retrospective on the year 2022 and kind of look back on the show, look back on the things that, kind of happened, and just kind of wax poetically about them for maybe 20 to 30 minutes. And we'll just see how kind of long this goes and where it takes us. But 2022 was really, really an interesting year, one for the record books. I mean, not only did we start Unlockables back in February, but there were a ton of life changes that kind of coincided with the show growing up along the way. And that made for a really interesting, really sometimes stressful, unique year that is probably one of the top 5 years of my life, I would have to say. Just going to go safely say it's probably number 1, just because I got married to my lovely wife. I mean, that's a memory that you can't beat. Other memories, probably like graduating college and some other stuff in there. But it was a year full of changes, and it was a year of challenges. It was a year of new friends, awesome collaborations with people that I've never even met, people from all corners of America, all corners of the world that I got to talk to and know because of this, thing that we love so much, video games. And being a podcaster, it really kind of, even more so than my first show, I discovered that I was part of this community of people that like to talk about video games, like to podcast about video games, and most of all, just like to play video games and talk about them with people online. And it was something that I never really expected to be a part of or experience to that level, even though I kind of did a little bit with my first show, Side Questing. It really went to a whole new level, I would say, this year in 2022. A lot of brand new friends, a lot of amazing new shows I discovered, some really, really incredibly talented people out there. If I sit here and name everybody, I'd be on this podcast for 2 hours, but some really awesome people whose shows I got to listen to. And because of that, I feel like I know them on a much more personal level. A lot of those people also came on Unlockables and were guests. I think we had close to 20 guests on the show, which is way, way more than I kind of ever really thought. That was a big focus of the show I wanted to have this year, was to have people on and tell their stories around why they love video games so much, because that's what I wanted the premise of the show to be. I can't say that any of it was easy. I mean, yes, it is a solo creative endeavor that I can do at my leisure anytime I want. But because I guess I could say that with everything going on in life, I also at times found the Unlockables as a big source of anxiety and stress in my life. The one thing that I look back on this year and wish I had done differently is I wish I would have had my plans for the show a little bit more together. I really didn't have like a backlog of episodes to draw on. So every week I found myself needing to record something to have content to release the next week. And I think that put me in a bad spot a lot of times, kind of scrambling for things to put out, things to have for a weekly upload that I imposed on myself. I imposed that I want to put something out every single week because, you know, in the content creation game, if you want to grow something and have something that is listened to and kind of out there, you do need to post pretty consistently, and you do need to put stuff out pretty consistently. And despite the fact that I'm making zero money and have absolutely no obligations or pressure, I impose that pressure on myself to put out things every single week. So I did find myself scrambling a lot of the times to try and put stuff out or line up guests and do that sort of thing. And people were very gracious to my chaotic style of podcasting, willing to come on sometimes on short notice, sometimes change days, change schedules with me as my schedule got kind of hectic and things had to get moved around. So if you were some of those people, I really appreciate you. I appreciate you rolling with the punches and subscribing to the chaos that is the Unlockables. It was really great, and you helped ease my anxieties a little bit. I also felt a lot of anxiety because now that I was in the podcast space, I experienced something this year that I wasn't really used to and I wasn't really expecting, that I got asked to be on a lot of people's shows. I might have appeared on more guest spots for other people's shows than I had people on my shows. I haven't gone back and counted them up, but I made multiple appearances on a couple of shows. I know I was on Tales from the Backlog a couple times. I was on Gaming Together, I think twice. So, just some of these repeat appearances with some people, really, I was not expecting to be asked to be on shows on the level that I was. And to me, just to give you a little bit of background, on my personality, is I'm not a person that likes to disappoint people. I like to be reliable. I like to be the one that if you come to me and say, hey, we need you to do this, or we want you to be on the show, I can just say, yes, absolutely. I can definitely do that. And, so that was kind of the pressure I put on myself whenever people would come to me and ask me to be on the show. And I had a hard time turning down guest appearances, sometimes to the detriment of my own show, where I'd push episodes off, or I'd line up a bunch of stuff where I had to record 3 times in a week, and that just wasn't sustainable. And it led to one of my other big regrets, that some appearances I had to ask the creators to move things back or push things around, or hey, I couldn't make it this day, could we reschedule? And a lot of people are understanding, a lot of people are very gracious, but that made me feel really terrible inside, because people were asking me to come on their shows, and I was just like, hey, I can't make this swing with my life right now. I scheduled too much other stuff around this, and it's causing some stress in my life and some stress at home. So I didn't ever want to let people down, and towards the end of the year, I kind of had to take a step back and be like, okay, if I want to accomplish the goals I have with my own show, I have to be a little bit selfish and I have to kind of back off on taking all the guest appearances that were thrown at me, which, like I said, I never expected that. And I'm truly humbled that people would trust me enough to come on their shows and be a part of their creation. That's just, to me, it's like people's shows are like an extension of themselves. So when you ask somebody to come into your show, you're asking somebody to come into your space. And the last thing you want to do is like shit in somebody's space. And I never wanted to feel like I was making that person's show or product worse. And that was always something in the back of my mind when I went on guest spots, that I was putting pressure on myself. And I was like, listen, don't mess up. You have to be very clear, very concise. Don't stammer. Don't mess up the other person's flow. Don't interrupt. Don't use filler words. And it's just a lot of that. And I put a lot of pressure on myself, especially in regards to guest appearances. To whereas towards the end of the year, yeah, like I said, I just had to kind of ease back a little bit and say, hey, if I want to accomplish things with my own show, I can't keep giving my time that I have to everybody else and be selfish, and realize that was okay. By extension of that, I also had a lot of anxiety when it came to also asking people to come on the show. And not that the first couple times you guest, it's a little bit strange, but once you kind of fall into a rhythm, once you can kind of strike up a conversation about video games with a random stranger, it feels pretty familiar with, you have a certain level of familiarity with that person. And I would say that my anxiety didn't come so much from having people on the show, but it was the fact that I couldn't get to everybody that I wanted to have on the show. I feel like this, and again, like I said, I want to be a person that's reliable. I'm a people pleaser, and it's something that I've worked through in therapy, that, I don't set boundaries. I want to please people, often to the detriment of committing myself to so many things or trying to please so many people that I make people mad at me for trying to be something for everybody. So in the process of asking and scheduling guests, I found myself thinking, well, these people might be upset that I didn't ask them to come on the show yet, or, I haven't asked them to come on the show yet, even though I talk to them a lot. And that also really, really stressed me out, because I didn't want people to think I was like excluding them or not wanting them to come on the show, because that wasn't it at all. And I created this scenario in my brain where people are just going to think, oh, I'm ostracizing them because I'm not asking them to come on Unlockables, which kind of leads to another thing, which is like, ooh, I didn't ask people to come on Unlockables. Like, my show is like this great, amazing thing that you should be honored to come on my show, right? No, not that at all. That's not the point. But I didn't feel like I had enough time to collaborate with everybody in the way I wanted to. And like I said, the level of collaboration that people wanted to do with me was really overwhelming. I didn't expect it, and was honestly humbled by it. I view myself as a man in a room with a microphone. There's nothing really special about me. I'm certainly not the smartest person in the world when it comes to video games. I would consider myself probably middle of the road intelligence when it comes to video game things. So for so many people to just want to do things with me, I almost felt like I had big time imposter syndrome, right? Like, I'm just this dude talking into a microphone. Why would these people possibly want me to come on? Why would these people possibly want to talk to me? I'm nobody special. And I kind of do get doses of that from time to time, even so much so as like putting out the 12 games of Christmas. 12 episodes in a row is a lot of episodes. And I was like, who am I to be putting out 12 episodes in a row and expecting people to listen to 12 days in a row of content from me? Like, I'm not anybody that has any kind of voice or anything. And this form of imposter syndrome tends to creep up a lot in like my job, or sometimes even in my relationship, where I'm like, wow, like, who am I? Like, how could my wife possibly love me or wanted to marry me? I'm just some, regular dude. I'm nothing special. And so there was just a lot of battling these types of feelings throughout the year regarding the show. And a lot of times it led to decision paralysis, and it led me to not do things the way I necessarily wanted to, just because I was feeling so overwhelmed and so stressed. And some of this did, in fact, to bleed into my personal relationships. Like, My wife was not very thrilled with how short notice and how chaotic scheduling things was sometimes. That led to a lot of points of contention. Sometimes when I was recording, 2-3 nights a week, that was also a big point of contention, just because, that's a lot of time to ask from your significant other to pursue your interests, right? It's 2 hours of recording 3 nights a week. That's a lot to ask from them. And I had to figure out a way to kind of strike a balance to where I made sure my wife was getting the time she wanted and I could devote the time to the show that I wanted to. And I don't think I figured that out yet. It's one of the things that going into the 12 games of Christmas I knew was something that I would have to figure out. And that's definitely one of the things that I'm going to want to address in 2023, figuring out how to better manage my time, better schedule my time, and I'm not sure what form that's going to take. So yeah, a lot of 2022, I just wanted to, put this out here that a creative endeavor is stressful. And if it's something that means a lot to you, and if it's something that you feel like you think you can build into something, there's a lot of pressure to devote more and more and more time to that thing at the detriment of others, at the detriment of, friends or work or things you need to be focusing on in the moment, which is why for large periods of time, mostly on the weekends, I would kind of disconnect from social media, disconnect from the various Discord servers I was in, and try to focus on, my life and not focus on podcasting things and not focus on video games. And that created yet another source of anxiety and tension for me, because I've been blessed to be invited to so many people's Discord servers and to be part of their communities. And I will be the first to admit that I am not great at Discord. I forget to check in sometimes. I get overwhelmed by the sheer number of notifications and trying to keep up with conversations that a lot of times I'll just check out and not participate in Discord servers. And I feel really bad because people invited me to be there and I want to participate, but I just don't. Or I feel like I have to be tweeting about my life and the games I'm playing 24/7 just to stay relevant. Because again, this kind of ties back to my imposter syndrome, where it's like, if I'm not putting things out there, then people will forget about me and they won't remember me because I'm not remarkable. I'm not a person worth remembering. And so there would be times where that would cause a lot of stress, and then I kind of cut back on it, and then I would cause myself more stress because I'm like, I'm not interacting, I'm not talking to people, I'm not doing things I need to do to promote the show. And it just kind of created this feedback loop of I always had this kind of stress and anxiety about the show. And in a way, I kind of liked that because I feel like I do my best work when I'm under the gun. I'm proud of a lot of the things that I've done for the show this year, but a lot of that was the product of unnecessary stress and anxiety. I also felt myself experiencing a lot of FOMO in regards to the show, because now that I was kind of in the quote unquote video game community, the conversation is constantly around what are people playing? What are people playing next? What games have you beaten? How many games have you beaten? Are you experiencing this? Are you experiencing the latest new thing? And that created a ton of FOMO for me early in the year. And it kind of reached a peak when Elden Ring came out. I'm famously not a FromSoft player. People know this about me, but the conversation around Elden Ring was so huge that I found myself on the PlayStation Store getting ready to click the purchase and download button, and because I wanted to experience it, because it's all anybody was talking about, and I was like, I have to be part of that conversation. I have to be part of the conversation. I'm missing out. Like, I have to be doing things that everybody else is doing because I have to stay relevant. And after that mini freak out session, I kind of took a step back and I was like, no, that's not the point. I don't have to experience the same things that everybody does at the same time. I'm not going to lose relevance just because I'm not being part of the conversation. Really, people should come to the Unlockables for the conversation that I set and the things that I want to do. And my goal from the start has always been to want to do things differently than anybody else does. There are some fantastic people out there. There are incredible. Everybody I've met is so talented and so in the way they think about video games and the way they play video games and the way they talk about them. Everybody I've met is absolutely incredible. I haven't met one person where I was like, this person's stuff is kind of subpar. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't think like that. But there hasn't, out of the hundreds of people I've met, there hasn't been like one person that I wasn't like seriously impressed with. It's really, it really is incredible. So everybody does, everybody's got their own flavor of show. And some people talk about current industry trends or what's happening or what games are coming out, or some people are busting through their backlogs or playing a personal journey of video games to kind of uncover what their video game story is. And, all these people do all these great things. So that's kind of been my guiding thoughts on Unlockables, is to do something different and to kind of focus on a different aspect of games that maybe people aren't necessarily covering. And my thought on that was, well, the story of video games. And what is the story of video games? Not just how video games were made or what story games are telling us, but the person. You personally, what is your story of video games? Because I think 2022 made it abundantly clear, especially to me, that through everything I went through this year, my wedding in February, to changing jobs in March, to starting to renovate my home over the summer, a new niece in the family, all these life-changing events that happened this year in 2022, I realized that the common connecting thread was video games. As insane as that sounds, video games were kind of like markers, were kind of like mileposts in my year. I associate Pokemon Legends Arceus with marrying my wife because I was playing Legends Arceus the night before I got married. I associate all the games I talked about for the 12 games of Christmas with Christmas time and with the 12 games of Christmas now, because that was a big thing that happened in my life. I was finishing Pokemon Scarlet when my niece was born. So the games you play during the year create kind of this roadmap for your memories. At least that's how it is in my mind. So when I look back and I think about the games that I played from a certain year, and now that I'm keeping lists of the games I've been playing every year, I can kind of go, oh yeah, like this happened when I was playing this game, or this happened when I was playing this game. We were up in Wisconsin and my friend got married and I was playing Mega Man up there, or I was playing Vampire Survivors when I went to visit my cousin out in Colorado, and those were great memories. So it's created like this road in my mind with all these mile markers that I can look back on fondly, and the emotions of those moments are intrinsically linked with those video games. And I know this is true because today, as I was driving home, I built a playlist on YouTube of music from all the games that I played this year. And as I was just kind of shuffling through them and shuffling through some of my favorites, I was tearing up and getting emotional, just kind of reflecting on my journey this year and thinking about how far I'd come and how different things were. When I got to the Kingdom Hearts 3 soundtrack, that especially hit me very hard because Kingdom Hearts concluded in 2019, that story arc. And when I look back on that game, it really kind of came out at a really pivotal moment in my life. And Kingdom Hearts was kind of like the thread that tied me to my youth and my younger days. And so playing Kingdom Hearts 3 as an older person, as an adult, kind of closed the book on that chapter of my life. And now I look at everything that's happened post me playing Kingdom Hearts 3, and my life has changed drastically. After playing Kingdom Hearts 3, before I finished that game, I was single, living with my parents, paying off the ungodly amount of school debt that I still have. I couldn't get anybody to date me. I was at a dead-end job. I wasn't going anywhere. And when I finished Kingdom Hearts 3, my life kind of unexpectedly took a turn. I met my wife at work and we started dating. And 6 months later, we bought a house together. And then the pandemic happened. And then I switched jobs. And then I, proposed to her, and then I married her, and then I switched jobs again. So it really, in that short 3-year span after playing Kingdom Hearts 3, my life is done. I'm at a place in my life that I never even would have imagined was possible, 3 years ago. And all these things were running through my head, and it's relation to Unlockables and this silly little show that I started by myself in February. And it's come to evolve into something that is very personal to me, considering it's a solo project. It's my baby. I have complete control, and it is something that I love very much, and it's something I love to do. And it's been an avenue by which I've met so many incredible people. I would have never imagined, I'm at a point in my life, your 30s, you really find that and this is just an unfortunate part of life. Once you start to do the life things, like marry your significant other and get a house and get dogs and start to raise a family and work on your house and plan for the future, your time becomes limited for your friends and for your loved ones, and your friend circle really does start to kind of shrink in your late 20s, early 30s when you start to live that life, whether it's, you just falling off of talking to people or other people moving away. You lose touch, lose contact, and next thing you know, 5 years have gone by and you haven't talked to that person. That's just kind of how it goes. And I was entering that phase of my life where I had a very small, like, close group of friends, maybe like a handful of people, but my broader group of friends had kind of fallen off. So I was not at all in the stage of my life where I was like, okay, yes, in 2022, I want to meet a shit ton of people and have new friends all over the world that I don't even know or haven't even met face to face. That concept was completely foreign, completely wild to me. I was not expecting that at all. And like I said, it kind of started with side questing, but side questing was more of like a project with me and my co-host that some people got into. But Unlockables is what really opened the door to that. And all of a sudden, I find myself in 10 different Discord servers with so many incredible people that talk about so many different things, and they're funny and they're hilarious. And, your whole life, you're just told that people on the internet are such shitheads and people you meet on the internet are just terrible people. But I can truly say that this is not the case. Yes, the loudest people on the internet often tend to be the most horrible people, and that's why you see them so much. But in between the cracks, in between the margins where most of the interactions take place that you don't usually see because it's just a couple people liking people's posts here and there, those people in there, which is where our podcasting community kind of lives, are some of the best people in the world. Like, my hope in humanity has gone up significantly this year. It's literally unbelievable. I guess to kind of wrap all this up, I've been, like I said, pontificating up here for about 30 minutes now. First off, I just want to say thank you to all the incredible friends that I've made on this journey. Like I said, I'm not going to list specific people out because that would take too long. First of all, to all the guests that came on the Unlockables, thank you guys. You guys made the show incredible. I was able to bring the show to a certain level. You guys elevated it beyond my wildest expectations with your performances and you guys coming on the show and just talking about your lives and what video games mean to you. And I was not expecting that at all. Truly, some of you told really touching stories about playing games with friends, with families, with loved ones, how games got you through difficult times. That was really incredible and really touching. I didn't expect that. I told everybody when they came on the show that you can share as much or little as you want. I jokingly told people that I was the Oprah, right? I just provided the couch. It was up to people whether they sat on it, whether they jumped on it like Tom Cruise, that whole thing. Maybe it's a bad analogy and I digress. But everybody really came and told touching stories. And after hearing some of those stories, I knew I was on the right path with the show. Secondly, to everybody who let me come on their show, thank you for trusting me to come on your show. And I tried my best whenever I came on to deliver, to do your show justice, to uphold the reputation of your show. And I really hope that I did that. And if I didn't, please yell at me on Twitter because I sincerely apologize. But I really gave it my all when you guys invited me on. I tried to be as prepared and ready to talk as possible. And yeah, just thank you so much for trusting me. That was one of the coolest experiences this year, was getting to go crash on people's shows for like 2 hours. It was so cool. So cool. I guess I'll leave you with a couple things that I've learned going through this and kind of reflecting on the last year of the show, and it hasn't been a full year of the show. The first year anniversary will be in February, but a couple of things that I've kind of picked up along the way, and they might seem like obvious, but the first thing is you got to have fun, right? If you're going to set out on this podcasting journey, if you're going to do some kind of content creation around video games or whatever it is, you have to have fun with it. It has to be something you genuinely enjoy doing. Otherwise, it's going to feel like work, and that sucks. There have been genuine days where working on the podcast has felt like work, and I've stopped working on it because I was like, nope, I can't do this. I'm not going to force myself to do it because then I'm just going to grow to hate it. So you really do have to try and have fun. And by extension, by that, the second thing is I think too, and this works for me, don't take yourself too seriously, right? I think anybody who gets into this has expectations and has hopes, right? Nobody does a podcast just for nobody to listen, right? Everybody wants their voice to be heard, and everybody wants their show to achieve some kind of success, whatever that success might be in their mind, right? It's really easy to, once you achieve a level of success, to kind of like take yourself too seriously, right? And be like, oh, like I'm a big shot podcaster now. And I've always tried to stay humble myself, and I don't think my show is hyper successful by any means. It's more successful than I ever would have imagined. And I've tried not to take myself too seriously on that point, right? I've always maintained my personality of I'm the Kingdom Hearts guy, or I'm the guy that plays the game where, Donald Duck is a wizard, and, I am just this kind of middle of the road average video game player. All right, there's going to be a little weird transition there because my wife called and I had like a 10-minute conversation with her in the middle of recording this. So I don't remember the point I was making about not taking yourself too seriously, but that would be the second rule, not take yourself too seriously. And I like to think that I present myself pretty much the same that I've presented myself since the start. And the person that you hear on the episode on the microphone every single week is genuinely me. I never try to present myself as anybody that I'm not. And I will continue to do that. And I think that that is important when building relationships with collaborators, with your audience, with people that you want to ultimately listen to the show. Nobody likes a fake ass mofo, I guess, as the kids would say. I don't even know if the kids do say that. So number 3, and maybe the most important thing, it is okay to take breaks. I know that the almighty algorithm and discoverability and people's short attention spans demand that episodes come out every week or whatever schedule you set for yourself. We are all small creators here, so taking a week off isn't a big deal. Take it from me. It actually feels really, really nice to take a week off from the show and not have any obligations. It's absolutely fantastic. I would highly recommend it. Maybe not a prolonged absence because people will forget or maybe think something happened to you, but it's completely fine. It is completely fine if you don't post on social media, if you don't interact with your Discord, things of that nature. Ultimately, you're the most important person in your life. You have to take care of yourself. And if those things are putting a mental strain on you, just be like, hey, I'm not doing the show this week, or I have to focus on my relationships this week, or I have to focus on work this week or something else. We will be here when you get back, just as people were there for me when I came back. It is 100% okay. So make sure you take the time to take care of yourself. Self-care is very, very important. Another thing probably, don't worry about being perfect. Perfectionism is, I forget what the quote is, but like perfectionism is like will like choke all creativity and all fun out of everything. Nobody that's doing this has the one right way to do it. I'm not even sure the way I've been editing my audio for a year, if it's even a right or viable way to edit audio. People say that it sounds good, and people are like, wow, you do a great job doing your show. It sounds really great. I'll let you in a little secret. Like, I threw my editing process together with like a smorgasbord of YouTube videos, and I'm not even sure I'm using this microphone the right way to record. But people have told me that it sounds okay and it sounds fine to listen to, so that's good enough for me. The more you release, the more you accept that like your show's doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to have zero background noise, it doesn't have to have, the best audio quality. You'll enjoy the process more if you just learn to let some of the smaller things go that don't matter. And some of the things that you think are a big deal aren't really a big deal. It's okay to let them go. 100%. Try new things. That's an important one. It's important to try new things. Don't dismiss somebody coming out of the blue asking you to be on their show, just because you don't know them or you're uncomfortable with it. I've put myself in plenty of situations where I didn't know the person I was recording with that well and had a great time doing it. So if you say no to all those opportunities, you're never going to grow as a person. You're never going to get a chance to talk and collab with other people. That's also a very important one, I think. I'm sure there are others, but I'm running out of advice. But just general rules, and you might think that those things sound obvious, but not everybody remembers to do all those things. And following those things, I have found produces the best result when I'm working on my show, is to make sure I'm having fun and not take myself too seriously. You know, don't treat others a certain way because their opinions don't align with mine. And, you know, just put something out. Don't freak out about it. Just put it out there. Believe me, it's scary to put something out for the internet to judge. It's an absolutely terrifying experience to put something out there because the biggest a-hole in the world might come along and say, this sucks, and it's going to feel really bad. Something that you put so much time into, somebody just coming along and saying, this is garbage. It sucks. It really does. I've gotten some mean comments on TikTok from people that called me woke and was like, this is woke garbage. And I was like, oh, that feels wonderful. So, but at the end of the day, you know, don't let that stuff bother you. It's all part of the game, and don't let it discourage you. Just keep plugging along, keep putting stuff out. You'll get better. You get better with every episode. You get more efficient as you learn how to do things. And a lot of the most successful episodes I've had this year have been experimental things that I've tried. The Mario episode where, you know, I talked to Yoshi, or the 12 Games of Christmas, or the Kingdom Hearts thing. All things that I wasn't planning to do with my show this year that I just tried on a whim, and they were really successful. So don't be afraid to expand beyond your horizons. With that being said, I think we're going to wrap this up here. I hope you guys have enjoyed listening to me kind of take a stroll down memory lane with this year, 2022, the Unlockables. I think it was an incredible year. For me personally, for the show, it was beyond anything I could ever have imagined. I never thought to have a year like this where I would be marrying the person that I love most, starting a new career path, launching a creative endeavor that has found some measure of success. I never expected those would be things that would happen to me, and it did. And I have all of you to thank along the way. Like I said, video games were a mile marker on my road of 2022, right? That's how I described it. So were all of you. You people out there that listened to me, that collaborated with me, that talked to me in Discords. You all know who you are. You're intrinsically linked with the show, and you're intrinsically linked with my 2022. I could not imagine 2022 without talking and collaborating with all of you. That was one of the highlights of my year, and now all of you are intrinsically linked with those memories of my personal life, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And it's an honor to have you in those memories and to be able to think about you from time to time when reminiscing, and to get to know having gotten to know all of you. It was such a great experience, and it was so cool and so humbling and so rewarding to meet everybody. So I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. All of you listening, you guys know who you are. Thank you for an incredible year. It was truly something special, and I'm looking forward to carrying that momentum and continuing things in 2023. Now, about 2023, let's have a little bit of a chat here. No, I'm not ending the show. I'm not pulling my last show and just shutting it down. Unlockables will continue into 2023. The first 2 months of the year, January and February, I will be off. There will be no episodes of Unlockables. The show will be going on a bit of a hiatus. I really have to retool the show's format and figure out how I can use my time more efficiently to make sure I am honoring my relationships at home, my relationships at work, my personal life, and find a balance with that, plus with the show and video games. So the first 2 months, we will not be having shows. I will be recording episodes. I'll be asking guests to come on. I'll be building kind of a backlog of episodes when the show returns in March to kind of have a little bit of a buffer. And I plan to be much better this year about scheduling things out in advance, always having, a couple weeks or a month or two of episodes ready to go, ready to be recorded before, so I don't have to feel that constant pressure or stress. So that is going to be the way things work. I also am going to tweak the format of the show a little bit. I think guests will still be the heart and the core of the show. I still have tons of people that I want to have on to talk about their personal journey with video games, their stories, their shows, their podcasts that they do. But I think I'm going to have to scale that back just a little bit because scheduling around other people created a lot of the conflicts in my life this year. So, and like I said, that's not on anybody that I schedule with. That was 100% on me because I didn't do a good job of managing my time and communicating it. So I think I'm going to have to scale back how often I do guest spots to maybe only having on a guest or two every month. That is probably something that will have to happen. So we'll still have guest episodes next year. I just don't think we'll have them in the magnitude that I envisioned because it was a lot more challenging than I thought. So I think by extension too, that'll have to also apply to episodes that I guest on for other people. Like I said, I didn't want to let anybody down this year, so I gave a lot of my time to other people to be on their shows, sometimes at the detriment of my show. And I want to be able to commit the time that I feel like my show deserves without overburdening or overscheduling myself. So whether it's like having two people on a month, my show, or having one person on a month and going on someone else's show a month later, that might be how it has to do, or that might be how it has to be. In regards to the release schedule, there'll still be an episode every week. The other side of Unlockables, which I've been thinking about a lot lately, I'm going to go down this road kind of like how I'm doing with my Kingdom Hearts series. I'm going to have a lot more focused mini-series on the Unlockables feed. So I'm going to be focusing on maybe certain things, certain games, certain people, certain stories in the video game industry. And I'm going to make these highly produced, maybe half scripted, half random rambling mini-series episodes on a specific topic, and there will be however many mini-series episodes in that specific mini-series. And I've been thinking a lot about these, and I have great ideas for a lot of them. And in the coming days, I'll definitely announce the first of those mini-series coming in 2023. I guess I can already talk about the first one. Guiding Keys will be returning in 2023. I'm really, really going to ramp that up. I didn't even get out Chain of Memories this year like I wanted to because life just got super busy and I was trying to play a bunch of games and finish a bunch of stuff for 12 games of Christmas. But I want to put out way more Guiding Keys next year. I'd like to at least be able to get through Birth by Sleep next year, which is Kingdom Hearts 2 358 over 2 days, Recoded, and Birth by Sleep. So I'd like to maybe do 5 Kingdom Hearts games next year, if that's possible. And we might do some Guiding Keys episodes on just some random lore tidbits if we need to kind of connect the dots and do that. And I might have some fellow Kingdom Hearts creators on the podcast as well to kind of talk about the series and talk about specific things. So that'll be a goal for that. I have a couple other series I want to do next year, as well as some intermittent random solo episodes. Like, I'll do my State of the Industry next year. I'll do the Unlockables Music Jamboree again next year. So there's things like that in play. And that's kind of what Unlockables will look like for next year. So it's going to be a little bit different. You'll be getting a lot more of just me. So I hope you don't mind my voice. But we'll still have guests on, we'll still have friends on, and above all, we'll be telling the story of video games. And I'm very, very excited to do that. I think it's when I came up with that tagline, that was what I wanted to do. And this is the form it's going to take. And I think there are a lot of great stories to tell, not only about guests, but about people, about games in the industry. So I'm really excited to explore that avenue. And I think it's going to test me as a editor, as a writer, as I try to script some things. I think it's going to expand my skill as a creator all around. my Photoshop skills as I make things like that. I think it's going to be a benefit for me, and hopefully the results show in quality content for you guys to listen to that's enjoyable. So that will be the goal of Unlockables in 2023. It's bittersweet. Even now I'm a little bit emotional saying goodbye till March of 2023, but I'll be around. I'll be making a couple of intermittent guest spots appearance, I'm sure, here and there. So you'll hear from me. I'll still be on the Twitters. I'll still be on the Discords. Maybe I'll share little snippets of things I'm working on. But until March, this is going to be goodbye. And like I said, it's only 2 months. Unlockables is going to come back a lot stronger, a lot more organized. I think things are going to be for the better. And I'm looking forward to that. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for an incredible year. Like, I wear my heart on my sleeve, so this is genuine me you're getting. It's genuine thanks. It's genuine sending love out to you guys for everything you've done for me, and, you know, fulfilling a small part of my dreams to be able to make something in this space about this thing that I love so much and have people talk to me about it and listen to it and appreciate the things I put out. That's the greatest gift I ever could have asked for this Christmas, this year. And I'm excited to continue this journey with you guys. So yeah, we'll talk again in March, and I'm really looking forward to it. And remember, it's not just the story of video games, it's the story of you.